So my name's Dom. I play in the England Men's Open team. Have done for a number of years now.
So my name's Nikki Bears. I currently play with the Women's 27s team, and I also play for London Galaxy as my club team, and I am the Women's Open Taipans captain for my regional side. Touch rugby is a six-a-side game. You have 6v6. And it's played over 40 minutes, two 20-minute halves.
About 75% of a rugby pitch, if you have that as a point of reference. So there's quite a lot of space to run into. Yeah, 6 people on the pitch, 14 players in your team.
Running forwards, passing backwards, hopefully running forwards. Sometimes people run sideways. But yeah, 6-on-6 form of rugby. It's a really nice, quick, fast game with continuous rolling subs. It's also incredibly great for fitness, great social game as well, because it's one of the few sports, even whether it's socially or at elite level, that plays mixed genders. So you can play women's, men's and mixed.
Brilliant, fantastic. Well done, mate. Absolutely cracking.
So that's kind of how I describe touch rugby.
I started probably younger than most people. We were quite lucky that we had a director of rugby at our school, which is what we kind of grew up playing in our area. From New Zealand, had played touch in his sort of journey, saw the value in it and installed that into our school programme. So we kept playing it for a number of years, and then one of the other teams in the league, and actually one of the teachers at the school, was playing touch for England at the time as well. So just naturally fell into it, where they were like, oh, we'd be after some younger people to come and play. I was like, yeah, sure, like why not? It's always kind of been the thing in life that you say yes and you try and make the most of the situations, and it's the things that you don't do that you're ultimately trying to look back on and go, oh, maybe I should have done that. So jumped into it, didn't really know what I was jumping into, played in a couple of other teams socially, and then ultimately met a couple of people who were playing representative stuff regionally and internationally. It's like, they've done it, I love it, why not ask some questions? And yeah, here we are, a few years later.
Well, I'm gonna have to think back a little bit now. So I started playing touch rugby way back when I was in school in Singapore. So I grew up in Singapore from the age of 3 all the way to 18. My family still lives out there. I played there from, I would say, about 15, 16. I never wanted to play touch rugby. I actually got into it because I played football, field hockey, tennis, and I ran athletics when I was at school. It was actually my coach at the time, a Kiwi guy, and he was all about transferable skills and bringing people into the game that he thought could be great athletes. He came up to me and said, I'd like you to play. You can run fast, I'll teach you to catch and do the rest of it. And I went, I'm really not interested in playing, because it was a game that I didn't understand. I still don't think I understand it sometimes to this day. But then he said, well, all your other friends are playing. So I went, fine, I'll come down and give it a go. And I haven't looked back since. I'd always wanted as a kid to play internationally, play sport internationally, no matter what that was. And when I'd moved to London and heard there were England trials going on, I didn't think twice. I do still remember a lot of those feelings, like it was yesterday, even though it was way back in 2010. I was incredibly nervous, was incredibly excited. I had that, hunger of like, this is my first tournament, I've got everything to prove. I think I had scored the winning try in the final as well, which was very, very exciting.
I guess 2022 at Nottingham was almost like the start of kind of like this kind of group that we've got now. Home Euros, we had a Home Euros in 2018 as well, so it seems quite familiar for those who've been a part of it. We know the fields, we'd had training there the week before as well, so that's always quite handy. This is the changing room we'll have, these are the fields, we know the schedule, we know what we're trying to do. We've got our game plan, we're pretty set. As always, new team, there's lots of new caps. At Euros, that was kind of like, You know, we feel like we want to be there driving the standard, and not just for ourselves, but for European teams as well. And we lost our first game, and you're like, well, that's new. And again, personally for me, the first game that I'd lost in Europe ever. And at that point, I feel like everyone in our team was kind of looking for someone else to like, oh, someone else will step up, or someone else will pull this out the bag. And when everyone's doing that, including myself, you're kind of like, right, we really need some people to kind of like take hold of this and do what they're good at. We did manage to turn it around, and we did put some really good performances in there in the next few days. The other weird thing in, I guess, Nottingham in 2022 is we played Ireland 3 times. You're like, that's what it is. Happen again this year. The first game's a bit open. The second game, you're trying to figure out your positions, and you're like, when are we going to play them again? And will we play them, assuming that things go to plan for us, which you kind of have to plan for? Are we going to play them in the semis? Are we going to play them in the final? What's that going to look like? So we ended up playing them in the morning of the final, then playing our semi-final against Scotland, where we just got up. We were evens with a few minutes to go. And then we played Ireland again in the final. So it was a bit of a weird day, because you're playing these guys in the morning, and you're like, we're going to probably play you again later, or there's a chance that we might play you again later. So you've got to take that into consideration about what you're showing, what you're not showing, who's playing, who's resting. Yeah, I think we just got up by 1 or 2 in the end against Ireland in the morning, close semi-final, and then again, I have to say, hand on heart, I was really nervous before that last game. Walking over, we're lining up. And again, of course, you look at who you're playing against, and you're like, these boys are confident. And they should be. They've been playing so well, they've put in so much training, we know them, we've done training sessions with them, training games against them, and they're ready, and they feel like that's absolutely their time. Things clicked and our execution was high, and we emptied the playbook for the majority of the game, and things went our way, and ultimately we got up. Any kind of win is huge, particularly like a European final win, and I've been fortunate enough to be in a few of those games. But for us, it was a great week, and we built throughout the week, and I think that was kind of like a foundation for us to go, cool, we've tried some new things, we've solidified some things, we've realised some things are not as good as they could be. It's given us a platform to then build on for 2023 Euros, and then ultimately for World Cup, because where we are now is building towards the World Cup.
We go again next year, okay? We go again next year. Yeah? Listen to me, Ed. We go again. We go again. Yeah? Next year's unbeaten.
In 2022, we had 5 returning players play in the Euros.
We know the squad. Everyone knows who's starting. Okay, warm up as per normal.
We had a great team, a really talented squad that had so much promise and foundations of just a brilliant squad moving forward.
Okay. It will be the 3 coaches.
But again, inevitably, we had never played a tournament together. In that big collection of new people, it was a little bit more rigid, a little bit more, I would say maybe scared of trying more things and being a little bit more experimental or a little bit more free-flowing, because we're still getting to know each other. It's the first tournament that so many of us have had together, and that really showed when we played in our final. But really, Scotland were that team for us, just as Wales were that team for us when I played Women's Open. We have Scotland there, and I do think we underperformed in the match, all of the matches that we played against them, and I do believe that comes down to the lack of experience playing with each other. It's quite exciting for everyone else watching, exciting, nerve-wracking, terrifying, and I say that from somebody that was actually on the sidelines watching that game, because I was out the entire finals day, that Euros. One of my lowest moments, I would say, waking up the morning of finals morning and going, I don't feel so good. And I had just woken up, I was doubled over in pain, my stomach was completely cramped up. You play these tournaments for the team and to go out and do as best as you can, but you know, everybody plays for the big games. You're there for the big games, and that's what you are gearing up for. And I was absolutely gutted not to be able to play that match. And the girls definitely made it an interesting one in that final. The ball just went from one wing to the other side of the field, back to the other, and we had Jo Devine.
Jo Devine, she's got the ball, she's got the speed,
and
she's through!
Oh, it's incredible! What a way to end it! Jo Devine puts it down, and England have taken it at the very last!
Right on the hooter. That was when we had scored the try. Literally, you couldn't write it.
The build-up was quite similar to 2022. Turn up at Vichy not really knowing what to expect, and the fields are like phenomenal, absolutely amazing. I'm like, yeah, cool. This is good. Like, happy that we're here. And then we go for the opening ceremony. We want to hold ourselves in kind of high regard and sort of be ambassadors for anyone else, not just within the England teams, but within the game. So we want to be good people, approachable, supportive, inclusive, everything like that. That's how we kind of want to hold ourselves. So. We're up, early breakfast, get to the fields. We've done it all before. We head over to the pitch, and then it's just going through the routine and trusting your processes, basically. Played against Wales. They had a very new squad, so there's a little bit of an unknown about what we were going to face. And yeah, ultimately we got up quite comfortably against Wales, which was a great start for us. So a really good first game, to be fair. Debutants all played really well, which is always a nerve-wracking time for them. I think we probably had a little bit of time in the first half to build into it, but then actually we hit our strides at moments, which is nice. Good foundations to build from. But yeah, generally pretty happy with game one. Lots of little things to work on, but where we're at is pretty good. So yeah, happy. Good start to the week. And then we're going into Ireland, and big game for us. It's day one. So here we are, just before playing Ireland. Nervous. They'll be very good, as will we. And it was a hell of a game. No one was quite in their full stride, and there were potentially moments at that time where either people were getting frustrated, either with decisions or with their teammates, or yeah, we might be down, that's fine. Like, a decision might go against you, that's fine. You just go, cool, what can I control, what's next, and what's my next work? We kind of went down, we brought it back level, and ultimately we ended up level. Next morning, go through a bit of a video review. We're not really playing how we thought that we were in some aspects of the game, so that's the focus of today. We probably identified as the three toughest opponents we were going to face were going to be Ireland, Scotland and France. Quality coaches, quality players across all of those teams. So you never quite know what's actually going to come your way, but we had them in 3 independent days, which meant that we could focus on each of the teams sort of chronologically. We managed to put that into practice, and then yeah, we were pretty successful day 2 and day 3. Very close one against Ireland in the morning, where we were level until pretty much the last play of the game. Brings us into our last day. Finals time. Let's go. Right, shall we? Right. Morning we play against Ireland, a very close game, and we're playing them again in the afternoon. Do our warm up. Very similar to 2022. Nervous, very, very nervous. almost beating us in one game, in 2 games. Again, similar to last year's, we've got things which we haven't put in place, but we were going to try to use in the final. Yeah, it was a good game, hot game. And I'd say they probably got over us in the midfield at times as well, so we just probably had a little bit of a better execution on the line. And again, that came true for us. So yeah, 2 years in a row, we came out on the right side of the result for us. I mean, we're in a really nice space, so it's exciting to see where we're going to be in 12 months' time. But just what a week. Don't know how to describe it. Class week. We go again.
No 56s this time.
Stick here. 2 quick defence.
You're in. Get ready to go again.
So we started day 1 at the tournament actually playing against the women's 35s.
What we've got to do is what we do very, very well, and we can get a good outcome.
I mean, in a lot of ways, I think it was best that we did have that game first. You get it done. That's one of the games that we put a lot of our thought and our emotion and our energy into, and to just get that game under our belt and perform in the way that we knew we could perform and set the standard and set that tone for the rest of the tournament. Credit always to our 35s team. They're always going to come out and put everything against us, but it was really important for us to get a win in that game, and thankfully we did. And then the next couple of days in the tournament, again, like with every tournament we play in, you know, it's always a build. It's a new tournament, it's a new season, you've been training different stuff, you've been adding new things, you've been practicing new stuff, so going in and putting that into a tournament is always going to be different to training.
We've had 3 tough games straight out the blocks. We've had the 35s, the Swiss yesterday and the Scots today, so it's been a real sort of tough start to it, but how we performed today, it was just totally calm, absolute to game plan.
For the most part, it's exciting seeing and getting to use all these things that you've been putting to practice all season.
Higher 6. All within that half, okay? Let's do that again. Let's replicate that again,
Okay? So, finals day. The one other thing amongst everything else that we were dealing with on finals day is, unfortunately, our head coach Gary turned up on finals day and he had a concussion.
You know, anything can happen. Somebody can get ill, somebody, you know, Gary might not be available, and actually I need to be able to step up into that role if that does happen.
Lexi stepped in to take the role of head coach that day and did an absolutely incredible job. Going into that finals game, despite everything thrown at us that tournament. Everything came out as it should. We stayed calm, we didn't panic. I personally had so much confidence in my teammates. That, combined with the experience of last season, combined with the knowledge and the learnings and taking everything that didn't work last season, just built for this complete trust in each other.
Absolutely perfect game. You should all be very proud of yourselves. We did that together. We showed everyone how we are European champions. Come on, ladies.
Loud and proud, people.
England 3-2 to Scotland and Perth!
Probably got about 20 to 22 boys genuinely in contention, probably a little bit more when you take into account those who haven't had the opportunity to go to different competitions. So it's so competitive for a place in the team, which is exciting. And not just throwaway comments, and we're not just saying this, and as we were just talking about, I don't think anyone's place is safe.
When it comes down to it and decisions are made, I know that there's nothing more I could have done. And if that doesn't happen, then again, you know, I hope that I can walk away knowing that I've done everything I can.
So if you're not performing, and particularly in a World Cup year where, regardless of kind of building for the future or like putting into new development players, that's about putting your best 16 players out to go try and do something in a World Cup. If you're not putting your best foot forward in training, it's going to be very difficult to get selected. Doesn't matter who you are. So yeah, it's an exciting time because anything could happen.